This video is about how to install HIDs into your 2010 to 2012 Hyundai Tucson. So far what I've done is I've installed the actual bulb into the housing, and I've removed this casing that's around the bulb. It's just some very small torque screws in order for it to come off. And then I've inserted the bulb into the actual hole here with the wires coming off and everything. And this is going to involve cutting a hole into this cap that goes over top of this thing, and I'll show you how to do that too. So hold on. Here's the bulb without that casing on it. That kind of just slips inside of there, and then that cap part went on top. This is what a standard bulb looks like with that casing on it, but I just took the casing off. There's a couple of little torque screws there, right there, and there, and you just take those off, and then the casing will come off like this, and then you just replace the screws on your side to hold on this part right here. So that way you can get it back into the casing, and it holds it in place by clipping it in there with that little clip there that you see right there. I mounted the ballast right here. I'm going to use some bolts there. It's going to be hidden underneath the headlight anyway. Cable's long enough to reach the end of the headlight. And there's the other side with the headlight in there. To get them out, it's just a 10 mil there and a 12 mil right there. Now, in order to get the connectors through the cap that you see here, we're going to have to cut a hole in it and put a grommet right there in the middle. But we want to keep the grommet as small as possible, so we're going to have to de-pin these connectors, and I'll show you what that's all about here in a minute. So there's the first connector done. Just need to get a de-pinning tool, such as the one that I have right here. It's a snap-on version. It's just a little de-pinning tool, and you can just, I'm not even sure if I can get the right view of this, but there's just little tabs on there you got to push in order to get it out of this connector right here that you see. And we'll continue on with the other connectors here, and we'll go from there. Now you also want to make sure that you mark one of the sides of this connector on which side is negative, and you can see right there I just marked it with my knife so you can tell it's the negative one. Okay, so after you de-pin all these connectors and they're off of there, you can then run a grommet through this hole and then pop the grommet through here, and you're on your way. Moving on to the next light. Here's just some preliminary kind of fitting of the ballast and the connectors together there, nice and hidden together, and we're going to move on to this light now. One thing I wanted to add is just make sure you heat shrink this connector before it goes back into the housing. I mean, it's kind of be hard for it to ground out on anything in there, but just to be extra safe, just stick a big thing of heat shrink over top of it, crimp it with your pair of pliers when it's still warm, right there, like that, crimp it together, and then stuff it back in there. That way it doesn't ground out on anything. So what I did for the high-low ballast, or not the high-low ballast, the high-low relay, is there's a cover here for all the fuses and stuff. I just took one of the bolts that came with the kit and I put it on the short side and bolted it from the top. So when I put it on there, it looks pretty close to factory anyways. There's going to be a couple of wires obviously going one to that side. This side will be going here obviously, and then I'll be grounding it out, probably on the factory ground over there to make it look all kind of factory as much as possible anyways. So we're just continuing on here, and we'll get the wiring all done, and I'll give you another shot of what we're accomplishing here. Okay, so I got it grounded on the factory ground there, got the power side connected. Next, we're going to be working on the light, because this is the side where it's going to be getting the signal from the H4 input. So we need to grab the input from the back side of the light behind this cover here, and once we get that cover off, I'll show you. Okay, so the cover's off here, and this is the connector we need to get connected to this here, but unfortunately there's a big plastic cover in the way, so we need to grommet it. Same idea as we did on the passenger side there, but we basically just need to get a bigger grommet this time and run that side of the wires through the grommet, leave that connector alone on the factory light, and just run this one into that connector by basically de-pinning these again, running the pins through the grommet, and then running the actual bulb side through the grommet as well. So we need to D-pin these, D-pin those, drill a hole for the grommet, and go from there. I'll catch back with you as soon as I'm done doing that. Alright, after much struggle and pain in the ass, both sides ended up having to be cut off, and then I'm going to have to resolder on some new connectors, but they are grommeted, they're nice and safe and sound, and yeah, got the other ballast mounted. I did test it, it looks good, so let me throw it all together here, reconnect these connectors onto it, and I'll show you what it looks like as a preliminary test before I, finalize all the connections and wires and stuff. And there's what it looks like after. Looks pretty good. Nice install. This is actually the day after. I just wanted to take a video after to make sure that there wasn't any water leaks. It's been raining all day, as you can see. So yeah, it's all good. No water leaks. Looks really good. And first one I've ever seen with HIDs in it. So anyway, enjoy, and I hope you learned something from that video. It was kind of a pain in the butt, but anyhow.